All right, something different this time. I have a ton of random bits and things laying around, and some generic bases that I got from a Reaper Kickstarter. The one of the Reaper Bones ones. I'm pretty sure it was Bones 1. So I decided to make some custom objective tokens for use in Frostgrave, Ghost Archipelago, whatever you may be playing. Even, I mean, you could even make some of these for Stargrave or whatnot. But so the first thing I did was isolate some bits, and with this particular piece, I had to shave an arm off of it and just kind of make it look kind of a little bit nicer. But I ended up sprucing it up just a little bit more further into the video. So what I've done with this particular piece is I took some green stuff and I took one section of it and I turned it into a banner or a flag or some sort of decoration there, and I sort of just kind of draped it over, and I pulled on it, kind of yanked on it, made it look like it was kind of torn and worn and whatnot. And then you honestly, once you put it on, you can just let it hang there, and it will, and gravity will do its thing and pull it down a little further and put it in its proper place. I had some issues with gravity on this a couple of times, as you'll see as I'm going on here. I ended up taking some pieces and just kind of tweaking and fiddling, and I'm actually not really that great with green stuff. I just I had no other way of concealing it easily, so instead of putting a whole big glob on there, I just took a couple of pieces one by one and just worked my way up to a large banner and a kind of a stone or a hill that it's going to be sitting on. So I used the tried and true tinfoil method, and then I stuck it down, and I realized, well, I just smoothed it out. So I had to end up doing it again. As you'll see here, if you watch when I stick it down on my desk, so what I'm doing is I'm using some water and I'm smoothing it out, and then when I stick it on my desk, you can see the haft of the spear start moving. I ended up afterward using the tip of a file because I don't have any sculpting tools to put some cracks in it and some lines and some pock marks or whatnot, but I ended up realizing I was probably going to cover it anyway, so I kind of left it where it was, and I propped it up to the side after I was done here, as you can see, so it wouldn't fall too far. Now these came from it's a Lumineth Realm Lord piece and a Daughters of Cain. That's where that little stone column piece comes from. The rest of this stuff is just from miscellaneous Warcry kits and whatnot. So the bases were all primed because it makes the texture paint stick a little better. And then I took Sterland Battlemire and I stuck that all over the bases. Now, I ended up, in this particular instance, putting all Sterland Battlemire kind of towards the center of the bases. Now what I'm doing here is I've gone through and I am just doing a light dry brush of Heartland Brown, and I used this for all of my bases for my Stormcast Eternals and whatnot. I also ended up going with some Mournfang as well because I kind of wanted it to be a little more brown than I wanted it to be yellow this time around. So I think the combination of the two was nice, and I just did kind of a light dry brush. I didn't really plop a whole lot of color on it because I wanted it to look muddy, and I also knew that I was going to put quite a bit of flock on all of these bases. Now, as you can see here, this is my collection of flock. I've got sand, I've got a sand gravel mix, I've got grass, clump foliage, I've got slate stones, and my bases are ready pretty much. The only one that's not there is the spear because at this point that one was still drying. Now, the easiest thing to do here is quite honestly just to put a little bit of PVA glue on it, dip it into your container, and you're good to go. And then what I did after that is I kind of picked out a couple of stones for each base, and I positioned it around just to see what I thought would look good, and put a couple of the different weapons and objects on there just to put everything together properly. After a little bit more glue and some grass, I put the stones where they need to go, and I used super glue for the stones, just to give it a little bit of a stronger bond. It doesn't really matter how you do this or how you position or where you put the flock. In this particular instance, I'm not really interested in them looking super duper realistic. Not really. I kind of just wanted them to be, kind of cool looking, just make them pop a little bit. And I think I did a pretty decent job on these. They turned out pretty well. So after putting all the bases together, I gave each of the little pieces a quick base coat of paint and stuck it on there. So, I mean, that's it. That's all. It's a quick and simple project, so you can do it in an afternoon, and it doesn't really take a whole lot of time, especially if you got a lot of bits. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Consider joining me on Patreon and Discord if you'd like, and see you around in the future. Hopefully keep watching.